going on, my coaches? Welcome to recording of episode 6. There's something happening with these streams sometimes. I think it might be either the internet connection or social media or something like that. So what I'm noticing that you'll find is that, like, if you go to LinkedIn or YouTube or the Leverage Coach group or my business page or my personal profile, that you might get different variations of the length of time, which makes it all that more important to go to the podcast app when I let you know in the next few days and to consume the whole episodes. I don't think a single full episode is posted. I don't have control over that. I'm streaming here from my streaming software and things kind of happen as they do. But if you are enjoying an episode and you're missing the rest of it, for right now, I would check if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go to Facebook and be listening here on the show for when we go live in the podcast app, and then you'll get the full episodes of these. They're edited, they're truncated down. This me and you banter is cut out, and there is an intro and an outro, which is a good reminder because at the end of today's stream, I'm actually gonna be recording the outros, and that way we have a video and audio version of them too. Okay, the hair's getting long too, by the way. Fresh shower, a little poofy. Okay, let's get in this and let's get this going, guys. Be sure to say hi and where you're watching from in the comments if you're watching live. Drop replay if you're watching the stream replay. Would love to have you here when we do these live. So be sure to follow me or subscribe wherever you're watching this, and drop where you're coming from so I can shout you out on a future episode. All right, let's get into this and let's make this happen. Hey guys, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode, here to help you navigate the major mistakes I see going on with online coaches. And so what I want to point out for you in today's episode is the 3 mistakes I see holding back even the most seasoned coaches online from hitting a minimum of $15K a month or from consistently getting clients. And so I'm going to break down for you what these 3 areas are in your business, what you want to do instead, and what to avoid along the way so that you wind up with more clients more consistently, and growing happens in and of itself so that your business just scales, and every day that you show up, it kind of adds another brick to your building, and you wind up with the tallest skyscraper without knocking down others, and by simply focusing on what it takes to actually transform lives and to get your clients results. In the last episode, I shared with you how to stop chasing your prospects and what to do instead so that they chase you. So if you didn't check out episode 5, be sure to check that one out after this episode. That way you can understand my philosophy on how to get clients closing you. Because a lot of you guys hear me say this over in the Leverage Coach Facebook group. You guys hear me say this if you're subscribed to the email list. And a lot of you guys, when you finally do get on a chat with me or you do reach out, you kind of have a lack of understanding, which is totally fine because you get the understanding through asking the questions, right? And so what ends up happening is that you guys kind of like think that it's kind of nebulous what I'm saying. And what I do is I break down for you the exact mindset and methodology behind this concept of getting your prospects to chase you, doing it in a non kind of scummy way, and why this is beneficial in the longevity and the long term of your online business for getting clients and transforming those lives. So be sure to check out episode 5 if you didn't check that out yet. Today, let's talk about the 3 mistakes keeping you back from $15K a month and from consistent clients signing up every week in your online business. Now, if you don't take today's episode to heart and this message to heart, there's 2 major things that happen, and you might right now be in one of these. And my goal with this entire show, with client by client, is to help you to either get out or avoid being in one of these 2 spots. The first thing that happens when you don't implement and you don't take today's advice to heart is that revenue stays low. And so what ends up happening is that your months as an online coach, while you might have good ones, the majority of them, your income is lower and it's inconsistent. And when that happens, it can take a mental toll on you. It can also help, start to lean you in a direction where you're questioning, why am I even doing this? Why am I online coaching? And when that happens, that's one of the worst things that can happen, in my opinion, because all of the lives that stand to be transformed through your help, through you staying in the game. And I just think that that's something that we want to avoid, right? We want to help you, and we want for you to make that impact that you know you're capable of, that's in your heart of hearts. So if you don't get today's episode right and you don't implement today's advice, revenue is going to continually stay low or inconsistent. The second thing that happens when that happens, the second thing that happens if you don't get today's episode right is that growing is next to impossible, and you'll never be able to scale your online business. That means that either one of two things: you continue coaching, but revenue stays below 5 to 7K a month, which is really hard to live off of in today's day and age. And while that might be a lot in other countries, here in the US where I'm streaming this, and even in Canada where, the US and Canada, the majority of the clients that come our way, it's really hard to live off of 5 to 7K when you factor in the tax man, when you factor in the expenses and recurring expenses that come with an online business. It makes it really hard. And it's oftentimes easier, and you'll have a better living with a 9-to-5 job, even though you won't be fulfilled. Sometimes you have to make decisions, right, for your family, for yourself, for your livelihood. And if you don't get or fix these mistakes in your online business, you don't get this right, growing is really, really hard, and you feel like you're on this bicycle that never ends. And every day, week, and month, it's just this repetition of hard-learned lessons with no fixes in sight. So I want to help you to avoid those things. I want your revenue to get higher and more consistent, and I want for growing to lead to scaling in and of its own accord, just by you showing up every single day, by being you, basically monetizing your existence and helping a lot of people along the way, changing the world in the process. So now let's talk about the top 3 mistakes that are keeping you back from 15K a month and keeping you back, if you're already there, from doubling your client base. The first big mistake that I see going on right now in April 2023, at the time of this recording, is that it's one of two things for you, and this is the foundation of your business, but it's twofold. It's one of these. It's either your offer isn't juicy enough and it isn't thought out enough to be different from everything that's out there in the coaching space. Guys, right now, in 2023, the coaching online space is more competitive than it's ever been, and more online coaches are popping up than ever before, because it's never been easier, because people like me and others have created a pathway for people to do it. And while I think that there is always enough room for every online coach, when you just do the raw numbers of how many people exist in the world, how common and popular having a coach now is, whether it's for something in your personal life, for health, for relationships, or for your business, or for some other goal in your life, there's a lot of competition. And so I think there's more than enough space for every online coach, even if you're brand new right now and listening to this. But if you don't have a juicy enough offer, you are going to blend in with the rest of the online coaches, and most online coaches are below 5K a month. And so if you're listening to this right now and you're below that 5K mark, or your revenue is inconsistent and it dips below 5K a month, then you got to unpack your offer and you have to make it better. Now, as a little bit of an advanced mistake for my seasoned coaches listening to this right now, who have offers and have a decent close rate on your sales calls or when you're closing in the DM, the next thing that I find when we pop open the hood and we look at your online business is that you have a juicy offer or a good enough offer at the end of your pipeline to turn your prospect into a client, but we're lacking offers or skipping stages in your pipeline that make it really hard for someone to go from stranger online to suspect to prospect to actually a happy paying client. And guys, this took way longer than I care to admit for me to understand. But there are offers happening at every point in that journey. And when you, instead of just juicing up your offer or changing the single offer that you have at the end of your pipeline where they invest and join your coaching program, you have to start looking backwards to the offers that are being made before. If you have a Facebook group, what's the offer for them to not only join in, but to stay? Or for your email list, what's the offer to get them to opt in and to stay? And oftentimes we think that just in this one example of this piece of your pipeline, because there are more than just your getting them to opt in or join your community and getting them to invest and be a client, is that we don't spend the same amount of time, energy, or love like we do at the investment offer, at the paid for offer, at the join my coaching program offer. And so you wind up with a group that's just like everybody else's, and your prospects and your market don't see you as any different. They see you as a commodity. And so it really ends up being luck that people are joining your program, or you just happen to be the person that reached out, or an email or a post on your group landed in front of that person at the right place, right time. But in reality, when you dive deeper, they're typically considering another coach already, typically a big box coach, typically someone that they're listening to on a podcast like this, or they're reading their books because they're a published author, and they trust them way more than they trust you because you're not them. You don't have the celebrity they have, the authority that they have. You're not showing up as consistently as these big box coaches are. And so you have to juice up your offers, and not just your offer for them to join your coaching program, your offers at every step of the way for them to take the next step and to continue taking those steps. It kind of comes down to the idea, and I'm big on this, guys, that everything in life is a sale. So if you don't like sales, you're in for a very tough ride as an online coach. Every interaction you have in your personal life, every relationship, every conversation, everything you are doing, you're convincing others to stay friends with you, to continue being in good graces with you, to get the invites from them, to be in their life, and so on. Everything you look at can be broken down into a sale. Let's say you have a 9-to-5. My manager said this one time when I was working back in the day, and it ticked me off, but it's truer than true, is that when you get hired, you're not just locked in for that job forever, right? You have to continue selling your employer and your team members on why you should continue to be there. And that's before you even talk about moving up in the company. So the first thing is that your offer is either not juicy enough, or you're not spending and investing the time, energy, and love into the many offers that happen along the way. I'm not saying paid for offers along the way, because a lot of us we think offer has to be something paid. That's not the case. When they opt in, when they join your group, for booking a call with you, for interacting with you in conversations, for interacting on your social media, what's the offer that you're making them? When you can think at it through this lens, you will make a stickier environment that when they find you on Instagram, they feel like they found the person they've been praying for. They're DMing you about your calls to action. They're swiping up. They're voting on your stories. They're liking all your posts. They're binging on your content. And when that happens, you've already landed the client. You just don't need to mess it up. The next part of this first mistake is, if you have the offer right, is about messaging. And this is really more for my coaches that have only been coaching for less than 3 years. And what happens is that we're looking at all of our models and the coaches that we're looking up to on the hook. If there's not an urgent reason for them to book a call with you, they're not going to book that call. It's going to lower the odds. And so you go from, 50% of them booking a call with you because of that to like 70, 80% when you have that urgency built in. The other part that this one little small strategy, like kind of the impact that it makes, you can go to your Calendly right now, or your Go High Level, whatever the hell you're using, and you can change your availability to just 72 hours. And that one tweak right there will cause prospects to show up far more warm, because they didn't forget why they booked back on the 21st and it's now like the 7th of the next month. When you have it in the 72 hours, the entire context of the conversation going on in their mind, or the one you're having with them, it sticks. And when you get on the call, they're still warm. So there's something awkward in your sales process that's preventing you from getting to 15K a month, preventing you from getting clients consistently. There are many things that we look at and checkpoints that we make in the Get Clients program to make sure that your system is sticky, all the way down to how you open the conversation, how you start each call, and how you move them to a strategy session. So to not leave you hanging, I recommend a 10 to 15 minute call that's about you. That's about, are you a fit for me? And if they are a fit for you, then you invite them to invest 45 minutes with you. If they're not a fit because the problem isn't urgent, maybe they divulge that they don't have the investment and they're not in the buying mindset for one reason or another, or maybe they have a coach already and they're just kind of exploring options for one reason or another, or because they didn't consider a coach, but now they're on this call with you, but they're really not open to some help, or you get on there and it's not an energetic match. That's about you. The second call, the actual sales call, what we call the strategy session, that shouldn't be foreign vernacular to you, is about them. It's about their problems, about making a roadmap and a plan that they can walk away with, even if they don't invest. I'm giving you guys some bombs here. I don't have enough time to expand on each of them like I did in point one here, but you have to smooth out your sales process. And what we need to do is get them chasing you. Now, the way to do this over the longest term is to build your authority. And I'm not saying go and build a huge audience, but what I'm saying is show up consistently on social media, talking about their problems. And when a prospect finds you and they book a call, but they're still a little uneasy, they're going to go to your content, they're going to be watching it, and your authority is going to build with them on an individual basis. And when they get on the phone with you and you ask, what made you decide to book this call now? And why did you decide to book this call with me in the beginning 2 minutes of that 15-minute call? They're gonna very quickly say, well, you offered for this call, or I came across you, or a buddy said it, and then I watched some of your content, or I read some of your posts, or I listened to your podcast, and I decided that I was actually gonna give this a shot because you said this thing, and that's me. Or you were talking about this, and that's the exact problem that I'm going through. And so why, and they're gonna say, and so why right now is because I have this problem, X, Y, or Z. She broke up with me, I broke up with him, I'm not at 15K a month yet. And why you is because your content resonated with me, and there's a lot of other coaches, but like I vibe with you and you offered, or I just really felt called to you. That's what you're gonna hear on every one of your sales calls. You don't need authority with thousands and millions of people. You have to have a process that can build an authority on an individual basis. And when you do this, you will feel like the celebrity to them, even if you're not the celebrity to everybody else. Your goal shouldn't be to be the celebrity or the authority, but you do have to build authority. You build authority for long enough, you will become a niche celebrity, and you don't need many people following you to get to 15K a month and to have enough lead flow coming in from those people to get to 15K a month. Guys, those are the 3 problems keeping you from 15K a month or from doubling your existing client base. It's your offer or your message suck and they don't have as much love as your actual coaching program offer does. And so we need to break apart and unpack your pipeline and make juicy offers that build in urgency, that build in guarantees, that build in price, that build in promises. Okay? And when we do that and we get that part right and we build in some risk and reward, this is what's gonna cause them to move through your pipeline more swiftly, and they're gonna feel like you made it for them, and they're gonna feel like they found home, and you're gonna be the coach they go with when they're ready. The second problem is lack of leads, and where we want you to be is leads flowing in daily. Again, check out episode 4 if you want my philosophy on lead generation and on lead flow. And problem number 3 is awkward sales. And what we want to get to at a very high level, at a very basic level, is getting them to chase you. If you want to understand how to do that, listen to the previous episode right before this, episode 5, where I share with you exactly what to do so you stop chasing them and they start chasing you. Guys, these are 3 problems holding you back, and I promise you, if you only focus on these 3 things for the next 12 months, you will have a business that revenue continuously increases and continues going up, and that scaling happens in and of its own accord. So many coaches worry about scaling, but they don't have these parts right. And I know this from talking to hundreds of you over the last 12